Hello, my name is Ciro Sepulveda. I'm a retired history professor who for the last 40 years or so have been interested in the history of Adventism. In fact, the last 15 years of my career as a professor of history at Oakwood University, I taught twice a year the history of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. This meant that I had hundreds of students, theology, education, and history majors take my course. And most of the students that came into my class were Seventh-day Adventists. That is to say, they had well-established ideas about the history of the Adventist Church. This became my favorite class because of the debates, the prolonged conversations, sometimes heated, on several topics about Adventism, but usually the topics revolved around Ellen G. White. This experience led me to write and lecture and do a lot of research on her life. As a result of that, I've written several books about her, books on the history of the Adventist Church, and I recently finished another biography entitled Ellen G. White, How to Globalize a Movement. I'm telling you this because I'm starting a series of videos on her life, and I want you to understand where I'm coming from, what is motivating this enterprise. You know, she is probably one of the religious leaders in the history of the United States that is least known. Very little is known about her. She never had any training as an educator. However, today there are over 100 universities and colleges that were founded with what some call her blueprint. She was never trained in public health, medicine, or nutrition, but there are dozens of hospitals, clinics, and dispensaries scattered on all of the continents, and more coming up every year, which have their roots in her writings. She was never trained as a business person, but today there are several dozen food factories that are producing breakfast foods and plant-based meats that generate millions of dollars in sales. I say all that to say that she's impacted millions of people all over the world, but there's very little knowledge about her. In fact, there's a lot of mythology and a lot of misconceptions about who she was and what she did. That is the reason I'm starting this series.